me, that is scientific literacy. I want my students to be literate in science. That means knowing the content and the context of science. And beyond that, being able to hold discourse in science. I mean, so much of the modern world depends on science. It runs on science. You know, satellites run everything from our weather to the internet to your cell phones. We use technology every day. And if our rising citizens in this democracy don't understand science, if they're not scientifically literate, I mean, you can already see it happening. I mean, decisions are being made in a democracy when people don't understand what's at stake. Everything from the environment to privacy laws to how technology is implemented in everyday life and in war. These are moral issues. And I think, you know, we like to think of science as being kind of like locked up in this abstract, sterile laboratory that doesn't really have anything to do with anything subjective or human, and nothing could be further than the truth. You know, I worked in that world and I loved it. But it also gave me this perspective that, you know, science is always done towards some end. Somebody's paying for it. And it's a tool. You know, you can use a tool for ill, you can use a tool for good. And in giving students this tool of scientific literacy, there's also this moral component too. How are you going to use your scientific literacy? What does that mean for you as a person and how you are aware of the world around you and what's going on? But also, how are you going to take what you know and make life better for people? Because that's the ultimate goal of science and engineering. And if they're a few steps further along on that process because of what I can do in the classroom, you know, that's the end game. I would love that. We need more good science teachers in the classroom for three reasons. I mean, first and foremost, I don't think it's any secret that we need more scientists and engineers. I mean, that's where the innovation is happening. That's what's going to take us as a nation and as a world people forward. I mean, the species, us, humans, species, are facing huge problems right now. The world is changing around us. Energy is running out, at least in the ways that we are used to harvesting it. Sustainability issues like getting water to the people who need it, food distribution, where are we going to farm food for 12 billion people, which is I think what it's going to be in just 50 years. You know, so there's the technical challenges, the scientific challenges facing us as humans together, they're pretty huge. And I think we need as many scientists and engineers to face those problems with creativity, with passion, with out-of-the-box thinking, with content rigor, as much as we can. That's reason number one. Reason number two, I would have to say, is that whether or not these students go on to become scientists and engineers, whatever they choose to do with their life, we need more scientific literacy for it to be a true democracy in this age. Like I said before, I mean, so much of modern life depends on technology. And if the people are to govern in an authentic way, then the people need to know the issues at stake. They need to understand why things work the way they do and what the consequences are. There's far beyond the content of science. I think much more important is the mindset of science. What am I looking at? What questions do I ask? How do I find the right questions? Where do I find the evidence for what I'm looking for? How do I tie the data I'm looking at, the facts that I'm looking at, into some sort of greater narrative that I can use either to persuade or understand? That's a scientific mindset that I think is so critical for everyone to have, not just scientists and engineers. And the third point, I guess, is a little bit more, I don't know if the word is maybe esoteric. I find science to be a beautiful thing. Science has that power to evoke wonder. And at the risk of sounding like Carl Sagan or one of those old episodes of Cosmos, which I've watched a lot. I see a lot of people kind of turning off from the world. There's a disaffection with the world right now. People looking inward. As long as I have my phone, as long as I have my TV, kind of closed off in the world, and we kind of forget how amazing everything is. Today I showed my students a photo that the ESA, one of the ESA telescopes, had taken of a very small patch of the sky. If I'm remembering the numbers right, it's something like 0.04% of the night sky. And I asked them, how many stars do you think are in this picture? And I had them all write down the number. They're guessing, 10, a million, 50, it's all across the board. And then I give them this new piece of information. Every point of light you see here is a galaxy, not a star. And then I say, okay, revise your number. Change your number. How many stars do you think are in this photo right now? And they all write. They're like, whoa. They write down the number, and then I put another piece of information. There's 200,000 galaxies in this photo. Revise your number now. Oh, by the way, each galaxy contains 150 to 300 billion stars, each one. Revise your number now. And we end up with some number like 60 quadrillion potential suns in this small patch of sky. It's mind-boggling, and it's cool to see them just turn on when they realize how friggin' cool stuff is, and I think that's that third little less concrete aspect of why we need good science teachers. We gotta get the wonder back, because if we don't have that, what's the point of everything else,